Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone to the August school board meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Perkins will do the Pledge of Allegiance and Mr. Clark will do the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this opportunity we have to gather as the Show Low School Board and to discuss the needs of the district and discuss the needs of the students and the teachers. We are thankful that we are able to live in this community and to live with the people that live here and that share our values and our belief system. Father, we are grateful for the men and the women who work in the district and the hard work and the hours that they put in on behalf of the students. We pray that will bless them and help them and guide our minds this night as we discuss the needs of the district, that we will be enlightened with greater understanding and that we will work with one another, that we will be able to put the needs of the district above our own, and that we will be able to find common ground in the areas that we can, and that we'll be able to work in a positive direction to help make this district a better district and help provide the education for the students in our area. We ask this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Item 3.2, Superintendent Report. Mr. Hustler.
Just a couple of things to report on. Obviously, school started. We were excited for August 1st to come, and just like in every start of the school year, we anticipated some things going on. We brought students back, we got staff back, and we're excited to have them. Just kind of give you an overview of what took place on July 24th. We brought back all new teachers. We did a 4-day new teacher induction. Mrs. Ramsey led that out. And on Monday, prior to school starting, those teachers were connected with a mentor in the district, and they got to spend some time with them and getting to do things to prepare themselves for the upcoming school year. Teachers and most of the rest of the staff reported on Tuesday, and we had a fun celebration. We invited Dr. Michelle Borba to come in, and she spoke on empathy and kindness, which are two of the pillars of the things that we are emphasizing this year. We really kicked things off. We felt like there were three components that really resonated with who we are, and we felt like Dr. Borba really launched us into this, and that's that we were kind and empathetic. It's really an emphasis of what we're trying to do this year. We want to build hope in each other and give hope to the kids that we're educating. We also are committed as at Show Low Schools to helping each other succeed and to being as successful as we possibly can. So she launched us into that, and then we got together at the end of the first day that they were back, that Tuesday afternoon. Some of you were in attendance, and we're glad that you were able to come and be there with us. Celebrated just coming back to school. We had some of our fine arts department. They sang the national anthem, and then we recognized our staff with who had longevity. I'd just like to point out that we have some individuals in our district that have been here for a long time, 25 plus years. Kevin Hall has been here in our district for 25 years. Vicki Sloan's 26 years. Thomas Pretty has been here 27 years. Roy Aguilar, 27 years. We've had Marshall Pratt here for 29 years, Karen Hall for 29 years. Brad Woolley's been in our district for 30 years. Theory Holiday has been in our district for 31, and Candace Hancock for 33 years. So these 9 individuals we celebrated there during our back to school get together, which took place in the afternoon, and then we hit the road with the kids coming in on that first day. Just a few hiccups along the way. Those are always anticipated when you try to determine the amount of flow and things. For instance, with traffic flow, we try to anticipate how many kids are turned 16 and are driving now for high school traffic. We try to determine how many parents are going to bring their kids the first day, and usually the first couple of days, kids are excited to be there. High schoolers show up early, and we have students being brought by their parents. That's kind of settled in a little bit now. Transportation is continuing to get better day by day, and we had our last meeting with the contractors for our bond projects today. They have a punch list that they're going through, and they'll be finishing those punch list items over the next 2 weeks, and then the bond piece of construction will be finished. I know there's been some questions that have been raised. In particular, I know my son's in 6th grade at the junior high, and he came home the first day and he says, "Can I take a jacket to school?" Because our air conditioning was working pretty well. But they've been in classrooms making sure that it's balanced and it's where it needs to be. I applaud our contractors for being there day one, going into every classroom, checking in with the teachers, making sure that it was the way it needed to be. And the cold rooms, getting them more temperate, and the warm rooms, making sure that it was balanced. And I think they're right on with that. But there have been questions like, about the Whipple Ranch roof, and I just want to bring that to your attention that the contractor started 4 months ago, and while we're not pleased with that, they're about 85% complete. Like most contractors, they've taken on a lot of work this little bit, and the workforce is very thin, so they don't have the personnel necessarily at times. They were able to ramp up, and then they had to pull back. Now, the last couple of days, there's only been 3 or 4 employees that are putting shingles on. So it is a challenge. It's one that we're working through. But we'll continue to meet as an administrative team. Day 1, we met, made some adjustments. Day 2, we met this Tuesday, made some adjustments, and we're continuing to review and adjust as we go through, and hopefully everything will settle out and we'll continue to move through this school year. We're excited for what it is. I've been in classrooms. I've been in every school multiple times. Kids are happy. My experience on day 1 when I started the job 4 years ago was completely different than when we started school on August 1st. I stood there and talked to kids. They would walk by me. I said hello, and they would say hello or good morning. 4 years ago, they would just kind of walk by. I said, "How are you doing today?" They respond by, "I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. How are you?" And so whatever our community is doing, whatever the teachers in the classroom are doing, the excitement for this school year is there, and kids are responding to it. So I'm really excited.
Thank you, Mr. Hosley. Item 3.3, recognition of legendary staff members.
Okay, board, we'll have you go out front there. We have a couple to recognize. And we're grateful for them being here. We'll ask Mr. West if he'll come down first. Oh, okay, come on down there, Mrs. Clark. We're going to invite Tom Iverson, Tom Wujek, and Jeff Amstutz to come down.
So Jeff couldn't be with us tonight. Just right here
there.
is great.
Okay. Smiley face.
You're going to face this way to face the front. There you go. Perfect. Jeff couldn't be with us tonight, but I wanted to recognize my friends, the Toms, and just talk about some things that they've done to make Shola Junior High School great this year. In the final weeks of the summer break, these great men and other members of the district maintenance staff were reassigned basically to Shola Junior High School to try to spruce up the campus before we had kids, because it was kind of a construction mess. And so in order to kind of stretch the bond dollars and make our school great, Mr. West put some money up and got some paint and some other supplies for us. And so this team painted, assisted in making repairs, hung another water fountain, that was fun, and worked to improve areas of the school that were not addressed through the capital bond. All of their hard work was done, knowing that other tasks and assignments would be set aside, needing to be completed at a later date. Often members of this team were among the first to arrive and the last to leave, and there were a number of days where they were there when I arrived at work and were there when I left at night. So I want to talk a little bit first about Tom Wujek. His primary assignment, one of his primary assignments, is to kind of be the key master, as it were, for the district, the locksmith. And so because the junior high school decided to take an ambitious project and rearrange all the classrooms, Tom has spent a lot of time at our school managing keys, including today. He was there for about 45 minutes. So we have joked that maybe Tom should just have an office on our campus and camp out with us for all the time he spends with us. So we're really grateful. Tom Iverson is someone that I really admire because he's always smiling. Not right now, but on a regular day, he's always smiling. Tom's laughter is contagious, and his good-natured personality improves the workday of those with whom he comes in contact. And usually if I'm having a gruff day, Tom's one to make me smile. We're grateful to have these men on our campus. When they come, they lift us up, they make our school brighter and better, and we just appreciate their contribution to our district. They embody Shola Junior High School core values of kindness, positivity, and understanding.
Oh, okay. Mr. Schubert, thanks.
Mr. Iverson.
Are we good?
We'll invite Mrs. Cosgrave to come down. And with her, Brett Hardy.
Mr. Housley, Board. The faculty and staff of Linden Elementary would like to honor Mr. Brett Hardy as our legendary staff member. Brett joined our team this summer, and he has been a benefit since his first day at Linden. He comes in each day, he's ready to do whatever it takes to make our school look beautiful, and he makes sure that it's ready for students, ready for teachers, and ready for parents. He obviously takes great pride in his work because our school looks amazing. Teachers have had nothing but good things to say about him, and the students are greeted each day with a tidy classroom and campus. I would like to thank Brett for taking a chance on Linden. Hopefully he's pleased with his new assignment, because we are certainly happy to have him. So I want to say thank you publicly. Shake.
Thank you guys for your exceptional work in definitely earned the legendary status with me. Thank you very much.
Item 3.4, board declaration that permits Mrs. Brandy Gray to accept legal documents on behalf of the board members and district. Mr. Schubert or Mr. Hauser?
Either one.
Either one of you guys?
Pick one.
Mr. Schubert.
So tonight we bring before you a board declaration. In order for Ms. Gray to accept any legal documents on behalf of past, future, and current board members, we need your approval. So that's what we're bringing for you tonight. Make a motion to approve for Brandy Gray to accept legal documents on behalf of the board.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 3.5, future board agenda items. Nothing. Okay, 3.6, call to the audience. We have 2 tonight. Just a reminder, they're 3 minutes. Glenna Plum.
Take all 3 minutes.
You have to take the whole time.
I want to address the traffic problem at Linden. I know there's a new parking lot built and everything, but we got cars. The turn-in lane for Schoolhouse Lane is not long enough, and we got cars parked out in the main highway trying to get turned into the Linden School still. And it's so backed up, it's going to cause an accident because these cars and trucks are still going by at 55, 65 miles an hour down the straightaway. And these vehicles are parked in the highway. They can't go anywhere. And why? This school's been here since 1983. Why has there never been a school zone? Reduce the traffic speed limit at all, ever. I don't understand. And there's 2 schools within a half a mile of each other. And there's no reduction of speed limit. I don't understand. And then there was almost an accident the other day, and I think it takes like 8.7 accidents or something like that for them to change a law. Are we going to have 7 kids and parents hurt or something before something happens?
Thank you, Mrs. Plum. Sheldine Clough.
Nice to be with you, school board members tonight, and our superintendent, secretary. Congratulations, Mr. Schubert. I want to thank him because he's been very effective and helpful to our concerned citizens of Shoal Unified School District. And a couple of you remember us pretty well, only one that's here tonight. We really have some concerns that are going on, and we wanted to express to see if you could tackle it and take it on with our superintendent. When hiring these new teachers that are not qualified to teach, and they have a lack of knowledge and training to follow education laws and guidelines for the state of Arizona, especially in special ed. We're really concerned about some things that have been happening with the special ed situation, a lot in the high school and the junior high. I spent some time in Phoenix last week at the governor's office and the State Board of Education. We were all wanting to get down to this SB 1042 and how it applies to our school and how fast we jumped on board with that. It was just barely approved in 2017. And man, we've been turning our school upside down and around with our teachers. It was interesting because they told me that these teachers need to have emergency teaching certificates, and others have to have credits to show education in different areas of knowledge and they have to have at least 5 years experience before they enter the classroom. And so I've been a little concerned about, and they're considered subject matters. They're not considered teachers. And that is by the SB 1042. And there's just been a lot of questions and concern what's going on. I don't know how much you've researched it, how much you understand it, but we'd appreciate it if you could get on that and check it out for us. We have a few concerns about intimidation and bullying of students. And there's a violation of law, such as taking statements from minor teachers without parents being present, and that has happened at our school. If you could look into that and check with your administrators. We want our schools to be healthy for our students. You know, there's a quote here that I have: the principal goal of education in schools should be creating greatness in men and women who are capable of doing good things, not simply repeating the other generations have already done. So we always want to move forward, and I think that's what our superintendent's goal is. I think that's all your goal.
Mrs. Clough,
You want our school.
that's 3 minutes.
Thank you very
you.
much. I hope you got that last part. It's important that you research that a little bit for us. And we'll see you next month again. Thank you.
Item 4.1, approval of overnight and out-of-state travel. Mr. Hosley.
For your approval this evening, there are a number of, number of opportunities that we have here. Mr. Marchant recommends, approval of Eric Hanchett to take his high school STEM club to the Owens Pond in Show Low, August 23rd and 24th, Friday after school, Saturday morning, in order to work with the STEM club on aquaponics and the other things that they do with that. Also, for your consideration is the travel for high school athletics, for the fall athletics. We bring those to you for your approval this evening.
Any discussion?
I'll move to approve item 4.1, approval of overnight and out-of-state travel as they've been presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5.1, approval of resignations, retirements, and terminations.
For your consideration this evening, we have the approval of the following resignations, retirements, or terminations. Holly Coronado, a junior high English teacher. Deanne Moya, Whipple Ranch Health Tech. Scott Ricker, a route bus driver. And Kelly Spencer, the high school special ed TA. Bring those for your, and then, yes, I bring those to you for your approval this evening.
Make a motion to approve the resignations as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5.2, approval of new hires and transfers.
There are quite a few. Let me see if I can get through them. New hires: Sharila Crawford, Rick Encarnacion, both as food service workers 1. Ian Holiday as a route bus driver, 5.5 hours. Robert Hummer as a junior high English language arts teacher, as well as social studies. That's a combined teacher class for 6th grade. Scott Prescott, food service worker 1. Amy Robinson, food service worker 1. Cambrianne Rova, high school cubbyhole paraprofessional. Charlene Schubert, Whipple Ranch food service manager, and Misty Whitworth, special services secretary. Also transfers: Don Coughlin from a sub bus driver to a route driver. Brett Hardy from Whipple Ranch custodian to Linden. Vicki Johnson, Nicholas Homestead food service manager to the high school food service manager. Glenna Plum, a junior high food service worker to Linden food service worker. Isela Quintana, Linden custodian to Whipple Ranch custodian. Jamie Schuff, high school food service worker to Nicholas Homestead. Devin Tafoya, high school custodian to Whipple Ranch custodian. Jacqueline Tucker, Nicholas food service worker to high school. And Mariah Williams from Whipple Ranch custodian to high school custodian. I bring those for your approval this evening.
Make a motion to approve new hires and transfers.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Item 5.3, approval of substitute.
I bring to you for your approval this evening, certified substitutes Sherry Hathaway, substitute K-12, Norman McCabe, substitute K-12, William Ricky, K-12, Darcy Ridgely, K-12, and then Jacqueline Williams, K-12, as a classified sub, Heather Layden as a substitute teacher assistant. I bring those for your approval this evening.
I'll move to approve the 5.3 approval of substitute.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Item 5.4, approval of stipends, volunteers, and event workers.
We have several for your approval this evening that involve the high school fall athletics here. High school cross country, Jerry Butler and Mike Hull. High school football, Monty Maxwell, Dustin Clough, Eric Reed, Harold Maxwell, Garrison Fawcett, Mike Brogan, and Brian Ryan. Boys soccer, Seth Jane, Andrew Broomfield, Eric Rask. Girls soccer, Larissa Bilby and Bo Zajac. High school spirit line, Deanne Moya, Gabe Moya, Rachel Walker. High school volleyball, Melissa Brimhall, Katie Klein, Vanessa Tidwell. Junior high football, Hal Frost. And junior high softball, Cody Lark, and Mike Ortega. As volunteers, we have a number of volunteers. I won't read those, but they are available for view if the public would like. I bring those for your approval this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve stipends, volunteers, and event workers.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6.1, Mr. Hosley, discussion and consideration on revised coaching evaluation.
So one thing we met, myself, Mr. Marchant, Mrs. Clark, and the athletic directors met at the end of the winter, about February, March, and we started to discuss formalizing something that we didn't have in place, and that was a coaching evaluation, so that we could consistently evaluate coaches and their performance all the way from our sixth grade sports all the way up to varsity level sports, so we could have a good feel for how they're doing, whether we can help them grow, the things that would be in an evaluation. In front of you this evening, our athletic directors went back and they put their heads together. They looked at sample evaluations. They took what we had in place and what they felt was good from other evaluations. And in front of you right now, you have there's an assistant coach evaluation. There's also a head coach evaluation. Then there is also a self-reflection for the coach to fill out, to do a self-evaluation. And then there is a plan that they would sit down and talk about, and how can they improve things. We're all improving, we're all trying to make things better. So this is a way to formalize some goals, and how am I going to improve for the next year. Sometimes that involves going to clinics, maybe it involves some training, maybe it involves what you're going to do to help improve the program, community relationships, volunteer hours, whatever it might be. So they would sit down together and fill that out. This is something that the athletic directors and the principals have now reviewed and brought to us for your consideration this evening. And I would ask that you would approve the evaluations that are listed as final evaluations for head coach, assistant coach, and then their coaching self-evaluations also, as well as the improvement piece.
I have a question. Do you have, or will you be using these on an annual basis, or are they going to be on an as-need basis, or how are these going to be implemented?
They would be annual. So if I'm a football coach, I would go in and sit down as the head coach, sit down with Mr. Nicholas and go through the evaluation. The head coach would participate in the evaluation of assistant coaches, since they're the ones that help to bring the assistant coaches on. And just a reflective piece on how it went. It's nothing that necessarily they don't already do, and have the conversations, at the end of the year. How did the season go? How do we do? Where could we improve? This is just a way to formalize it and make sure that we can have a consistent conversation with our coaches from grade 6 to the varsity level. So,
Question in regards to that. How effective would it be to have an evaluation by the athletes themselves for the coach? Is that too cumbersome, or is that?
it's been done in other places. It wasn't something that they brought in, but I certainly can take that and have them consider what that looks like. I don't know what it looks like to collect it from the athletes and the particulars to it, or what you might even want to ask them, but certainly they
To have
having their
a
feedback.
student or an athlete perspective might be good as well.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised coaching evaluation form.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6.2, discussion of proposed 2020 political agenda and delegate assembly process.
So the Arizona School Board Association always puts forth a political agenda. They ask all school districts who are represented by their policies, which almost all of the public schools in the state of Arizona are governed off of those policies, those model policies. They ask for board feedback every year on what their political agenda should be. So what are they going to fight the most for? And you'll notice inside
There's always 5.
there's always 5. Yep. And then so you look at their draft political agenda. Their first one there would be to maximize state funding for nationally competitive salaries, attract, recruit, retain talented teachers and staff. And then they share their rationale. Number 2 would be revise the school finance formula. In particular, the formula is related to special needs students. It hasn't been changed since 1980-ish. That's some of their rationales in there too. Fully fund kindergarten or full day kindergarten. As you know, we offer full day kindergarten, but we're funded at half of a day for those children that go. Advocate to preserve and protect the voters' original intent of Proposition 301. There's been a lot of different ideas of how that 301 should look, and part of their number 4 there would be to protect the voters' intent. Accelerate full restoration of district additional assistance. That is our capital budget, right? Do we want them to accelerate and really try to push to get that accelerated rather than the current implementation? Provide new school construction funding for site acquisition, design, construction before existing schools exceed their maximum capacity. Right now, you have to exceed your capacity, then they build a school. They're talking about, is it one of their agenda items could be that we want them to advocate more strongly to have that happen up front. Eliminate underfunded mandates and administrative burdens. And then number 8, return desegregation funding to the primary tax levy. Number 9, there's another.
Calendar number 1.
Yeah. So they have certain subheadings, and then there's 15 under each one of those. So we need to kind of make a determination of what our priorities would be. Number 1, 2, 3. We'll submit that in and put our vote in where we would like them to provide their focus. And so a little discussion there. And then at the ASBA conference in September, there is a delegate assembly where we would cast our vote. And we need one of you to serve as the delegate of Show Low School District on that delegation assembly. So were there any in particular that you felt very strongly about that we should hang our hat on and have them have those as our priority for them to consider or to vote on?
Require public accountability for taxpayer dollars spent on education. Since we're not funded the same as charter schools. I think that was on there last year. Improve outcome for all students. Preserve strength and local control, and adequately and equitably fund district schools to at least the national median per pupil funding. For my big four. In the kindergarten.
They all pack a punch.
Mm-hmm. If you had to rank order them, what would be your number one, maybe?
I think funding's always a front runner. Seems we spend a lot of time talking about funding things.
So to try to have them advocate for adequately and equitably funding district schools at least the national medium. Okay.
And Prop 301. We don't lose that money.
I think both of those. Can we pick two?
Yeah, you can rank order them. We can rank order them up 1 to 5 or 1 to 3.
Okay.
Grant, do you have any ideas?
No, I agree with your guys' comments. I think that funding is a critical component right now, especially with the way that they're funding charter schools. I think that it's gross and adequate the way they do it to public schools, and I think that should be a priority for us.
Two more, you guys.
And improve outcomes for all students. I mean, the funding just helps get that done.
How many do we have, Brandy?
One more.
One more.
I think, it goes back to it's under one of the funding headings there, but, not only at the national level, but we've been operating for a lot of years. There's been some restitution to it, but we've been operating at 15% of total capital dollars that should have been coming into the district for years. And as a result, you see buildings in not only our district, but in districts around the state that have had to go without 10 years of maintenance or 10 years of upkeep. And so I think accelerating that, really making sure that they don't back out of getting that district additional assistance back into the budgets of schools. I think that's a critical piece that they need to continue. They can't let up. I think the intention is that it comes, but if they give any lapse to that, then I think they get distracted and it could be delayed even further. I don't know that any district can afford that continuing to be delayed.
Capital funding?
I'm
Guys
good with that.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Need to select a delegate.
Nominate Stacy to do that. I mean,
The nomination.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Do I need to? Item 7.1, bond update. You or Mr. Schubert?
I gave a little bit in my superintendent's report. Mr. Schubert, do you have anything to add to that?
Just wanted to kind of, in our meeting today with our contractors, just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a high level update. Our budget with core construction was $3.9 million. After everything is said and done, there's about $1,000 of that left. So we spent $3,899,000 on our core construction projects. And in that, they worked on over 10,000 square feet of interior space and moved dirt on over 16 acres. So that's some of the higher level things that we had. When the bond was passed, Mr. Housley and I pledged to try and stretch our $10 million bond out to $15 million by utilizing the SFB. Currently, as we sit right now, we have about $4.6 million in projects with the SFB. We've got another $3.5 million worth of projects upcoming. So we're looking at almost $8 million in projects with the School Facilities Board. So we have been able to stretch that $10 million bonds into over $18 million. Mr. West is here in the audience tonight, and he can give you some more specifics if you'd like to hear those about projects and where everything is and what's been done in certain sites. Mr. West?
Evening. So I'm actually really excited at where we are right now. If you've been out to Linden School at all, it doesn't really look like Linden School anymore of what we know it. It's been connected. It's 100% complete. It's got a beautiful new courtyard for the students to enjoy, and it's secure. And that project, there's a couple punch items that they're doing. It's just some minor painting and caulking of some blocking windows, but that project is almost all the way finished. It's like 99.9% done. All the rest of the projects, they have plans to have everything completed by August 22nd, with just a couple small things that might have to go a week or two into that. But all in all, the rest of the projects, I mean, the junior high is the same way. If you've walked into that school, it looks completely different today than it did, in January when we started this whole entire bond project. And we're really excited for the work that's been produced, not only by Core Construction, but by Lusk and Perkins Cinders. They've actually gone above and beyond, and they've torn out at their own accord, not at anything that we've asked them to do. They've looked at their work, felt it was shoddy, and ripped out, just probably thousands of dollars worth of concrete they've just removed and replaced because they didn't feel it fit what we as a district would pay for in our taxpayer. So unless you have specific questions, we're pleased. I'm pleased with what we see in the district.
I have a question. Can you give the public an update on what's going on with the high school gym and what your guys' plans are here in the next little while with that?
Yeah, so on August 21st at about 10:30 in the morning, I'll meet with the actual flooring contractor, the HVAC contractor, the state facility or school facilities board, and the general architect, and we'll come up with a plan. The air conditioning units for the gym have been ordered. They got all the things they needed, so they're on order to come in, and then we're gonna set the date of when actual construction starts on that school on that date. There's a lot of iron work that has to be done. They told me today, I met with the architect this afternoon, his plans are that we can get into that gym by basketball season, and that's their goal, and that's what they're going to try to really push to get. The flooring contractor agrees with that estimate, so on that date of August 21st, we'll see if we can really get it, or if we're into it, at least a couple weeks into basketball season.
Wow. Be great.
It's about it's almost $1 million just for that project. It's about a $1.3 million project.
More questions?
What are you gonna do with that extra $1,000? Throw some sanders down at Debbie's school? Can I recommend that?
I'm not doing nothing for Debbie.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Thank you.
I
Item,
just want to mention one last thing about the bond. We have our last bond oversight committee meeting next week at noon, and we'll go over in more depth and detail. We'll have the contractor will present to both of our contractors, the ones that did all of our lighting and energy efficiency projects, and Core Construction will be there to present to the Bond Oversight Committee to give them an overview of the project beginning to end, where the money went, the expenditures, and how it was spent, and what was spent on security, and safety, what was spent on remodeling and infrastructure, what went into technology, what went in, and then we already know what went into our transportation with our buses and White Fleet and that stuff. So we'll just wrap it up in a bow, and that should conclude the bond portion of our projects. Now as Mr. Schubert alluded to, we still have quite a few projects that are going to come up, but we're not going to go at them the same way we did with the bond projects. They'll be a little more targeted. They'll be a little less intrusive at times so that we can we don't want to keep all the teachers and students in a constant state of construction. So we're going to try to time those out. With the way construction is right now, a lot of items are long lead items anyways. So it's just something that we're going to patiently move through. But I know one of the questions was, what about windows and paint on the exterior? That's part of the weatherization. If we would have paid for that, it would have been awfully expensive and taken up a large portion of our bond money. The SFB is funding those projects. And so you'll see that the high school will be painted here pretty quick. They're actually going to do a patch on there so we can see the colors and how they look on the block. And then you'll see Whipple Ranch start, and then you'll see the junior high. And when we talk about the junior high, we mean that campus that has the junior high and the auditorium on it. So you'll see windows and paint being replaced throughout this school year when we don't disrupt them as much as we had to in the spring.
Chad, how long is it going to take us to pay the bond back? Like from the tax base?
Right offhand,
15 years.
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
I just think it's important that we remember to thank the community. The schools look great, and none of that would be possible if the community hadn't rallied together behind the district and passed the bond. So,
Yeah.
I do want to, based on, on that comment, I want the community to be aware and look out. We will be selecting one of our home football games where we will hold a community celebration. Mr. Marchand and myself sat down the other day and just real preliminary conversations about beginning to look at what date that'll be, but look for that. We'll have a big tailgate party. We'll have some festivities and some fun for the community to come. Most likely there will be some perks with admission and other things like that we'll just invite people to come in, enjoy a night at the football field, and say thank you to our community. So.
Just one last thing on the bond. Just to know that the things that we did weren't just superfluous and just to beautify the campuses. A couple years ago, Embry-Riddle University was awarded a grant from the Department of Justice to go out and check and test school safety. We had them come out in July, even while we were still under construction. And when they came out and they did their assessment of our schools, the preliminary report is this is one of the safest districts they have ever seen. So the things that we have done are a huge impact to the schools, the overall safety of our schools. So I just wanted to make sure that was stated.
Thank you, Mr. Schubert. Item 7.2, discussion and approval of the 2019-20 cafeteria salary schedule and food services job descriptions. Mr. Schubert.
So similar to what we did with our parapros, we have separated out duties within our food service department, and we have adjusted pay scales accordingly with those duties. So before you tonight is approval of those job descriptions and the pay scales that correspond with those descriptions.
Any discussion?
Greg, is this was already budgeted, right?
Yes.
This isn't something that we have to find new money, right?
Nope, already budgeted.
All right, I'll move to approve the 2019-2020 cafeteria salary schedules and food service job descriptions.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 7.3, discussion and approval of Air Medcare as a voluntary payroll deduction. Mr. Schubert.
So a few years back, a friend of mine had to be air evac'd to the Valley for a heart condition. And he didn't have any insurance or anything else, and it cost him $60,000 for that air evac. Since that time, I've been looking, not aggressively, but I've been looking at different ways of providing that sort of a benefit to our employee base. We came across this Air Medcare. Air Medcare owns the majority of the air ambulances in the United States. So before you tonight is approval of a employee paid benefit. What it would supply is air transportation from the medical facility to basically a level 1 center, so that the employee could get the care that they need without having to worry about that expense. The cost of this per employee is $60 over the course of the year, and what that covers is it covers the employee and anybody who lives in that residence. So if it was an employee and their spouse, their 6 kids, and their 2 in-laws, all 10 of them would be covered underneath of this plan just for that $60. They do offer an additional upgrade to that where it has a return flight. I believe that one was $120 over the course of the year. So that way, when they flew you to Phoenix, they could actually fly you back. This program also provides, and I'm going to use Mr. Housley as an example. If Mr. Housley decided to go back to Germany to visit his daughter as she's having a baby, she's not pregnant. I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there that I know of.
News here, Greg.
But it's so Mr. Housley goes to Germany to visit his daughter. Mr. Housley has the opportunity to go ahead and purchase international coverage that would fly him back from a hospital in Germany back here to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix up here to Show Low. And he doesn't have to do it over the course of the entire year. He can do it just for the time frame that he's going to be gone. So I bring that tonight for your approvals for us to offer that to our employees.
Any discussion, guys?
I'd move to approve airmedic care as a voluntary payroll deduction for the employees of the district.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks for checking into that, Mr. Schubert.
Mhm.
7.4, discussion and approval of reallocation of stipends.
So we have had some stipends that that go to certain areas within the district. So what we're asking for your approvals tonight is to reallocate our SPED stipends to another area within SPED. There's a letter in there from Mr. Marchant because this takes place over at the high school. There's also another stipend in there for the PE department leader, and move that into a program called Link Crew, which is a group of upperclassmen, mostly seniors, that bring on and help with freshmen in their, just accommodating them and acclimating them to high school life. So I bring that to you tonight for your approvals.
Any discussion?
I'll move to approve the reallocation of stipends.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8.1 through 8.7, Mr. Schubert.
So tonight we bring before you on our consent agenda requesting approval of the following: ratification of our expense and payroll vouchers, ratification of the junior high, high school, and food service activity revenues and expenditures, approval of the governing board minutes for July 11th regular sized meeting, approval of the following donations: $800 from Moore Law to purchase character education for the junior high staff shirts, $4,600 from the White Mountain Women's Club for scholarship money to 5 recipients at the high school. Venture in Art Encore RV Resorts donated school and art supplies to Whipple Ranch Elementary. Show Low Construction donated 2 safety vests for crosswalk duty to Whipple Ranch Elementary. Waltner RV Resort donated $375 in Walmart shopping cards, numerous school supplies, Clorox wipes, tissues, and art supplies to Whipple Ranch Elementary. And the following businesses also donated gift cards for our new teacher induction: Arby's, McDonald's, Safeway, Steinhoff Distributing, Mudslingers, Samurai Sam's, Dairy Queen, Panda Express, State Farm, Domino's, Pepsi, Walmart, Firehouse Subs, Persnickety's, Wendy's, KFC, Pizza Factory, White Mountain Donuts, Little Caesars, and WMA Theaters. There's a $40 gift card from Lacanos for teacher gifts and incentives for the junior high. $40 from Subway and gift cards for teacher gifts and incentives for the junior high. $25 from Cattleman's and gift cards for teacher gifts and incentives for the junior high. And Will Haggerty donated a 5-inch telescope valued at $2,000 to the Science or Astronomy Club. We also asked for your approval of the breakfast and lunch prices. Free meals will be free. Reduced breakfast at all sites, this will be 30 cents. Reduced lunch will be 40 cents. Breakfast for K5, regular pay is for regular pay is $1.30. Breakfast for 612 is $1.40. Lunch K5 is $2.25. Lunch for 6 through 8 is $2.40. Lunch for the high school is $2.60. An adult breakfast would be $2.10, and an adult lunch would be $3.25. And we also ask for your final piece on here is the information on the 1920 Pride Handbook. All that's in the consent agenda, and we ask that for your approvals tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
No discussion?
And then you can pull it out if you want to have discussion, but in the consent, you wouldn't discuss.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 9.1, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. Sorry. I was going to keep asking you to make motions.